Glenn Carle, you're the sort of expert on this subject. When it comes to torture, to pick up the question, do the ends justify the means ever?
No, they don't. We just heard, really, the world as described by Rupert Murdoch and the Republican Party of the United States, not a word of which makes sense and is related to the truth and the law and our heritage and effective interrogation. One, it doesn't work. There are 4 people who have written and spoken out about, quote, enhanced interrogation techniques since they occurred after 9/11. 2 Army officers who are interrogators, an FBI officer who was an interrogator, and a CIA officer who was one, myself. None of us knew each other. All of us say almost verbatim the same things, which is that it doesn't work, it is illegal, it is immoral, it is unnecessary. The only people who have spoken out in favor of, quote, enhanced interrogation techniques, the only ones, are one of 2 categories. Either the individuals who made the policies and are trying to defend them for their legacy and for legal defense reasons, or the shills for the policies themselves. They're the only ones. The person who wrote a book recently to which you alluded, arguing firsthand knowledge on the contrary, well, in fact, the book was ghostwritten by a former speechwriter for Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld, whose expertise, ostensibly on interrogation, consists of having read a few telegrams while he was a speechwriter in the White House. So on practical grounds, it does not work. On moral grounds, it is wrong. On legal grounds, it is clear that it is illegal.
Well, let me ask you about your personal experience. Have you ever tortured anyone?
The enhanced interrogation techniques in which I was involved do cross the line of the obligations legally for the United States and any signatory of the Geneva Convention and of the Convention Against Torture.
So the answer to that is yes, in your opinion?
Yes.
What do those enhanced interrogation techniques include?
Well, there are 2 kinds that the CIA engaged in. The U.S. military is a different issue, but broadly the same, but 2 kinds. They are called standard and enhanced interrogation techniques, and they consist of physical or ostensibly psychological measures. And fundamentally, they are designed to, the term of art is psychologically dislocate the detainee. That means you make the person half crazy. And how do you do this? By playing upon our 5 senses. We see and perceive the world and have a sense of ourselves through our senses. Without that, we do not exist. There's no independent way, a priori, platonic way to have a sense of yourself in the world without your senses. So if you alter your sense of time, your diurnal rhythms, your sleep rhythms, the way you perceive
By doing
sound,
what? How do you do this?
Oh, you have sound at an almost deafening level nonstop, and the sounds are designed to create stress. So psychologists have shown, we all know, that the sound of an infant crying raises your blood pressure and your tension. It is distressing for a human being instinctively. So you hear babies wailing, and then you hear the mother saying, shrieking, "Don't do that to my child. Please stop." And then you hear the woman being beaten, and then you hear her falling, or you hear a gunshot, and you hear her being dragged away. You hear car crashes and screams. You hear gunfire, and then you hear silence, and the silence is deafening and frightening because there's been nonstop sound. And then you don't let someone sleep for 17 hours, and they let them sleep for 8 minutes, and then you tell them that it was 8 hours, and you completely mess them up, and it's very quick. Very fast.
Can I just ask you this? You've had someone brought into your presence to interrogate who's had all of these things done to them?
Yes.
How did that make you feel?
That's why I wrote the book. It's appalling. It's appalling.
I mean,
it's unnecessary, it does not work, and it's wrong.
Could you have said, I stand against this, I'm not going to talk to this man because of what you've done to him?
I could have, yes, and the book is an exploration of when to say no and how to say no and what to do so that you have some effect and you do something useful. And it is extremely difficult for an individual to challenge the weight of his entire government when you have been told explicitly, because I asked explicitly, is this legal? What are the effects? And I was told the President, the Attorney General, the Department of Justice, the Office of General Counsel of the White House, the Secretary of State, the Director of the CIA, all had formally considered, approved, authorized, and ordered this. And I, having been briefed on it for 3 minutes, was a lieutenant colonel.
Where was it happening,
very
by
difficult.
the way?
Well,
was this, for example, we are at war with the United States in Afghanistan. Was it happening there?
I am not allowed to say for legal reasons. I may not say, but there are enterprising and
You can't
competent
confirm
journalists,
or
some of them
deny
at the Guardian
the Afghanistan-
and the Australian, who can.
What would happen to you, for
Some
example,
people
if you said now
Well, I could
it
be
happened in
prosecuted.
Afghanistan, it happened in a prison outside of Kabul?
I may not confirm, deny, or comment on that. I may not. I can, but I may not.
Some
for
people
legal
who've written about
reasons.
your book said it happened near Rabat in Morocco.
I may not say.